In 1994, I was part of the Station Strangler investigation team, where the community of Mitchell's Plain, one of the largest towns, was held hostage by a serial killer who targeted young boys. Now, Mitchell's Plain and the Cape Town flats, along with the rest of the communities there, are once again under siege, and this time by gang violence, which has erupted into a full-scale war. One of my colleagues in the Station Strangler investigation was Inspector A.J. Oliver, who sadly passed on of COVID. But he passed his torch onto his son, Kurt Oliver, a former police officer, now community leader, pastor, and politician in Mitchell's Plain, who is my guest. Hello, Kurt.
Hi, everyone. Hi, Mickey.
Good to talk to you. Kurt, I remember back in the 1990s when your father was one of the chief detectives investigating the Station Strangler case. You were a little boy and you were the same age as his victims. How was your life then?
Yeah, Mickey, it was very, very complicated as a child. For my elder sister and myself, we never had an ordinary life or ordinary childhood because of the case my dad was working on, but also the seriousness about what was happening within our communities. We needed to be indoors at 4, bathed in our pajamas. We were not allowed to go outside. And if we were allowed to go outside, our nanny needed to go with us. And we were very, very isolated and kept away from the world, basically. So it was very, very tough for us as kids. And yeah, my dad worked a lot. So he was always at work. We hardly saw him. And, growing up, and we later realized my dad sacrificed so much, not just for us, but for a generation and for lots and lots of Cape Townians and South Africans.
Kurt, earlier this month, in September 2025, actor Robert Redford died. Now, as a child, I remember watching him and Paul Newman in the movie Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid, and I think this was in 1969. And in the last scene, they were frozen in sepia as they came running out of a building, guns ablazing, into the firing squad of the Bolivian army. And that scene was brought to my mind this month because it seems the Cape Flats have been turned into the Wild West show with a scourge of gang violence. Except this is not the movies. This is real. And this time the children are dying, and it's not just one man holding the whole, or the communities hostage. It's gangs. So we hear of babies being shot in their beds and 490 people killed over the last 6 months. You are on the ground there. What is happening?
Yeah, Mickey, what is happening on the Cape Flats? It's something that it's beyond concerning. Every single day, Mickey, there's the gangs are shooting at each other, and people are dying. And I said to someone the other day that it shouldn't become a norm. The double murders, the triple murders is becoming a norm on the Cape Flats. A couple of years ago, we were all used to hearing, okay, one person was shot, or one person, was shot in the arm and never died, and someone was stabbed. But now we're hearing about double murders, triple murders, 8 people shot, 6 people shot, and it's an everyday thing, and it's like the communities has really been put in a position of fear. They've been put in a position of mistrust because a lot of people have been going to the police. They've been trusting the police, and there's been no results with regards to policing. There's no plan with regards to organized crime. There's no plan with regards to intelligence. There's nothing happening that is really combating what is happening on the Cape Flats. And the sad reality is, Mickey, that we've seen how politicians has influenced what was once a great SAPS. They've influenced operational duties within the SAPS in such a way we find politicians giving instructions to the police when the National Commissioner himself is supposed to be giving the instructions. But now we find politicians instructing the National Commissioner, where we see politicians that don't know anything about policing We find the national commissioner that doesn't know anything about policing. We find the provincial commissioner doesn't know anything about policing. We find the people in parliament, they don't know anything about policing. So we find in where our city is in a state where there's no plan. I mean, the minister, the national minister of the police was a couple of weeks ago. He was in Mitchell's Plain, and with the Mitchell's Plain, the residents asked him. They asked the minister, "What is the plan?" And he actually admitted that there is no plan. There is no plan to fight what is happening on the Cape Flats. Now, the other day, Mickey, I've just found out that they said there is a plan now, and the plan will be rolled out in 2026. Only in 2026. So, does that mean it is fine for people on the Cape Flats, our youth, our children, to be killed? Until then, Mickey, that's not fine. So it's a huge concern, a huge concern.
If I just look at some of the, I won't call them statistics, I just want to call them dates. Okay. So in January, we had Jeffrey Zagudia, the principal of the Ekutuleni Primary School, was shot dead in front of the school, in front of the children. In February, a 4-year-old little boy, Davin Africa, was shot in his head. And 2 years before that, his sister was shot. I mean, he's shot in his head while he's sleeping in his bed. Okay, and then we start now, just the past 2 months, on the 9th of August in Manenberg, 13th of August, Overcome Heights, then in Bonteheuwel on the 16th, 19th of August, again Bonteheuwel, 22nd of August, Bonteheuwel, 2nd of September, Hanover Park, a 10-year-old, 14-year-old, and 16-year-old children shot. Okay, the one on the 22nd of Bonteheuwel, 22nd of August, there was a 3-month-old baby boy. 19th of August, a 9-year-old girl, 11-year-old MC Franke was shot. 2nd of September, Lavender Hill, gang leader, 11-year-old son also shot. Then 6 to 7 September, 2 men in Steenberg. 8 September, Steenberg, 17-year-old boy shot. From the 8th to the 9th, that was the Kraaifontein where the double murders were there. Okay, the 9th of September, as you said, the acting police minister, Firoz Shakalia, met with you. A day later, 3 people were burned to death in vigilante action. 11th of September, 16-year-old man of Nyanga shot dead. 12th September, Happy Valley, 3 men shot dead. Then 14th September, again, Kraaifontein, more people shot. 15th of September, Guguletu, a man and a woman shot. 16th September in Delft, a woman shot. 16th of September in Manenberg, a man gunned down. 17th September, West Ridge in Mitchell's Plain, shot. 18th and 19th September, Overcome Heights, 3 people shot. 19th of September, Nyanga, another man killed. And the 19th of September in Bonteheuwel, a mother shot and a 2-year-old baby in her house. Now, this is just last week. In the same week of the 19th of September, the alleged gang boss, Nafiz Maddock, was found guilty of corruption. And there were some police officers involved there. So what happened there?
Yeah, Mickey, there's actually it's not just the one thing that he was arrested for. There was a number of things he was charged with. I think it was 100 and something charges against him. And I know he's been on a waiting trial for some time now. And finally, he's been convicted of only one of the charges. But these type of things, Mickey, and these type of high flyers, as we call them, within, especially within our city, within Cape Town, we find them infiltrating the police. We find them infiltrating certain governmental organizations. We find them paying off certain people, and we find them, even being able to get intelligence um, from the police. We even find them, Vicky, even where there's policemen that has been paid off to actually work for them, to do certain things, to give them certain favors. And finally, we see where this whole organization or this whole syndicate that has been operating within our city, that has been part of putting really our city in such bad conditions and in such bad situations. But we actually find that now he's been convicted. I think he had 10 years or he received 7 years for corruption. And like I said, it's just one of the things, but he's not the only one, Mickey. There's many, many others. And the concern is, Mickey, that we're starting to see a pattern develop where I know General Mkhonazi from KZN is starting to speak about certain things, but we see a pattern developing where there's a lot of names being mentioned, where politicians is involved, where senior uh, top generals within the police is involved, where there's people belonging to certain political parties is involved, and it's becoming a common thing.
I remember in 1994, how the communities of Mitchell's Plain and the other towns in the Cape Flats were mobilized to protect the people, and there were vigilante groups, but mostly it was community police forums and the MPOs, and now they're being mobilized again. Now, you yourself, you're the director of the Sons of Issachar, which is an NPO operating in Mitchell's Plain, and you have feeding programs and mentor programs, also for prisoners or gangsters that want to be rehabilitated. So how do you reach them, and how do the programs work?
We're very, very involved on the ground. We go into areas where um, people don't really want to go in, and it all starts with the feeding program, where we actually positioned ourselves in a part of Mitchell's Plain that is central, but where everybody is walking. And we've been there for the last couple of years, Mickey. And what has happened was a lot of the guys that have been released from prison, we find that they are the ones that are standing in the lines for food. And we build a relationship with them in such a way that they start trusting us. And once that relationship of trust is built, we can send them to rehabilitations, we can send them to counseling sessions. We can even help them get employment. And a majority of them eventually come to the church. We start a mentoring program with them. And we involve them, Mickey, in a lot of the community work that we are doing. Because today, Mickey, a lot of them that used to stand on the other side receiving the food is now the ones that is serving those standing in the lines. And a lot of them are working today. A lot of them are reintegrated back into society. They are positively impacting their communities. They married today. They working. They stable, and a lot of them actually take all their finances, Mickey, and they start up something within their communities. It doesn't matter how small it is, as long as they are stepping, in the right direction. As long as they are doing what needs to be done, and it all comes down to serving. But after the last few years, Mickey, we've noticed that there was a increase in the number of or in number of gang members, the number of prison gang members that was being drawn to us. Majority of them was being drawn to us, and when we would sit down with them and have our sessions, we actually realized, Mickey, that a lot of them don't have a plan. When they get released from prison, there's no plan that they have in place. So yes, when it comes to the parole hearing and stuff like that, the plan is presented, fixed address, and they're going to go look for work and all of those stuff. But when they come out, we actually realize that there's no execution with regards to that plan, and we help them with that. And this is about helping them get that second chance in life. And today, a lot of them are stable, a lot of them are blessed, um, and you wouldn't even say, Mickey, they were part of the gangs, or they were part of the number gangs, because a lot of them is actually part of our Big Brother program today, where they are actually the mentors of the younger generation, the younger kids within their communities. And it's all about being that mentor. It's all about being that big brother to them, filling that void, so where there's no rejection or abandonment within their lives, and where they need to know that they've been accepted.
Kurt, I remember, in 1994, we arrested the station strangler on the 13th of April, 1994. And I remember I was standing with your dad, on the dunes there looking out at the sea. And we sighed, it was a sigh of relief that it meant the end of the death of the boys of Mitchell's Plain. And last year, I think in February or sometime, you and I were also standing on those dunes. I think we had Khayelitsha behind us looking out at the sea. And, the lyrics of Moana's song came to mind, and they read, "The line where the sky meets the sea, it calls me, and no one knows how far it goes. If the wind in my sail and the sea stays behind me, one day I'll go how far I go." So what I'm wondering now, is 30 years ago when we saved the lives of so many boys, are those boys now growing up to kill the other boys of Mitchell's Plain? It makes me sad. I want to know what you feel about there. Is there still hope?
There is hope, Mickey. There's definitely hope. And that is why we do what we do, Mickey. That is why we go when there's a need, or when there's a cry for help, or when there's an injustice. We act as a natural thing within us. Why is it a natural thing within us, Mickey? Because there is still hope. When we got sworn into the police, there's an oath we took, and that is something that never leaves us, Mickey. It's something that was within my dad, and it's something that I've learned over the years by watching my dad, and watching how he deals with people, and watching how he helps people. So there will always be hope, Mickey. And as long as we are still seeing lives change, as long as people are still asking for help, there will always be hope. There will always be hope. And that is why, Mickey, we are oath keepers. And as an oath keeper, Mickey, it's difficult for us to look at things in hopeless ways. It's difficult for us to look at it like that. So there will always be hope. And even with those boys that have grown up, Mickey, today, a lot of them are gang leaders. A lot of them are maybe involved in organized crime. A lot of them is maybe in prison. A lot of them is maybe about to be released from prison. And we can never stop believing. We can never stop believing. I know with the younger generation, Mickey, I know and I understand that there was a lack of leadership within our communities. There was a lack of true leaders of integrity and truth within our communities. And the gangs took advantage of that. And that is why we need to be that good examples. We need to be carriers of the light. We need to be carriers of hope. And we need to do whatever it takes. If it means we going to walk a journey with a young man for a year or for 2 years, or it means we must go and remove him out of the gang leaders' houses, if it means we must go and do what it takes to stop human trafficking, to stop the extortion. We know we're not in the police anymore, Mickey. We know that. But there's other ways that we have created over the years that helps, and a lot of that is taking the proactive approaches. And like I said, if we win in one or two young men, Mickey, which we are, then there's hope. There's definitely still hope.
I think, Kurt, as long as there are people like you, especially, then there is hope. So I really want to thank you and all the other people in Mitchell's Plain and everywhere on the Cape Flats doing all the good work, not just the men, but the women, and the protests and etc. Thank you for doing all your good work. Thank you, Kurt.
Yeah, thanks, Mickey, and thanks for having me on your show. It's a huge privilege, and I want to just say to our listeners that together we can bring change. We can bring change within our country, and it starts with a simple act of kindness that will be able to change somebody's destiny. So it starts with the small things, and we will definitely see change again.
Thank you for listening to our YouTube podcast. Please subscribe to the channel. And then from my side, I'd like you to make a contribution to the Sons of Issachar. And they're at the FNB Bank. And their account number is 628627472220. And this will really, really help the feeding schemes and the mentor schemes. So join us on Substack and Patreon for in-depth discussions on this topic.